Well, there you. In this video, we're going to consider a excise tax placed on the buyers rather than on the sellers. And how do we know that? Well, we have demand and supply. If this market was left alone, this is our equilibrium. And then we're told that there's a demand after tax, so that means that the tax must be placed on the buyers of the product, and that shifted their willingness to pay downward. So for 80 units, they're willing to pay 4, but then they have to actually pay 14 because that's the amount of the tax. So the distance between these two curves is the amount of the tax. So what's going to happen after the tax is imposed? You want to look at where the demand is after the tax, which is right here on the supply curve. So the buyers are going to buy 60 units. They're going to pay 8, not 80, 8 to the sellers. Okay, so the price that the sellers receive is 8, and then you follow this back up to the original demand curve, and it's 18 is what the buyers are going to end up paying in total. So they pay 10 in tax and then 8 to the sellers. Okay, so the amount of that tax is 10 because that's the distance between demand with the tax and demand without the tax. Okay, same as on the supply side, it's just we're looking at it differently. The tax is being collected on the buyers. The per unit burden, so we're looking at the difference between where the original equilibrium price was, which is the price that the buyers paid and the price the sellers got to keep. So the buyers now we'll call this PB. The buyers were paying 14, now they pay 18, so they're paying $4 more. So for the buyers, buyer's share of this $10 tax is $4. So then the rest of it has to go to the sellers, but we can also see that right here. So the sellers were keeping 14 and now they're only keeping 8. So the seller's share of that burden is 6. If you add those together, you get the tax. So it has to work out that way. The $10 has come from somewhere. How much tax revenue does this produce for? So we're going to now tax 60 units, and we're going to tax $10 each on that. So we know that that's $600. But we can also see that on our graph here. So if we take this color, and so the per unit tax is $10, and then we're taxing that on all of these units. Okay, so this right here would be tax revenue. It's not asking us this, but if we want to think about consumer surplus would be up here after the tax, and then producer surplus would be down here. So you can calculate all of that, but that's how to think about a excise tax when the tax is placed on the buyers, the demand side, rather than traditionally on the seller side.